Look at this one. This next video that I would like to show you simply talks about responsible borrowing and lending. You know, how it affects both the customer and the lending institutions. So for a while now, so many people have reported, there was a time that some lending institutions were shut down here across Nigeria anyway, simply for the harassment meted out to their customers. And as a result of that irresponsible behavior or irresponsible conduct of some of their staff, or even irresponsible behavior of the customers themselves, this has created a rather unfortunate situation between the lending institutions and the customers. It is being said, everyone, you need money is made available to you. The loans, the profit, what's the interest rate? Terrible, really terrible. But the question is, who is regulating them? We spoke to some experts at a particular conference, and we'd like to share a bit of that story with you.
For lenders, is for them to first identify, what their obligations are under the law, and also from an ethics point of view, the choice to do what is right. But from a legal point of view, there is a whole world of universe of the kind of obligations that they have under the license they operate with, for example, for those who have licenses. But you also look at cross-sectoral laws like the consumer protection law, the data protection law, for example, that creates certain level of obligations on organizations. So organizations who then make efforts to genuinely comply with these legal obligations are definitely going to end up protecting consumers. But on the side of consumers as well, it's also very important for them to know what their rights are.
Some organizations use different measures to recover their money. Of course, once you grant a loan, recovery is very important. Collection is important. Repayment is important. It keeps the organization going. It's the lifeblood of the organization. But where there are challenges and you need to now recover those monies, there are different ways that an organization can choose to use to get that money back. But what has generated a lot of issues in the media in recent times is the manner with which some lending organizations they tend to debase, embarrass and blackmail borrowers when there are issues of default.
In our moderate achievements, we've been able to resolve so many issues. Being it electricity, we've been able to recover over 35 million naira for people as credit adjustment. We've also been able to recover from the other sister agency of the electricity over 5 million naira. So one thing we want to let Lagosians to know that they have rights. If you buy an automobile like we did recently, but we will not want to mention names, somebody bought vehicles from a very particular automobile company, and these vehicles were defective in nature. So if you're selling any substandard goods or render services that are not in consonance with the provision of the consumer rights, we will be there for you.
I think the discussants have basically profiled a lot of solutions in terms of defining the scope of lending, defining the scope of the customer, defining the scope of what it is that you can do with the process. All that is left now is just to ensure that there is a kind of synergy of all groups based on the laws, and for all parties to be sure that they comply, because compliance is critical in all of this.
Importantly, is the downside of the aggressive manner in which lenders would always go after repayments. And generally this should not be a practice, and that's why we have enshrined primarily to have a movement around a framework around responsible financial consumer governance. And that is the crux of this. And Consumetrics is having this first office series, which would be an advisory to regulators as we go along.